What is your name?
Rachel.
Rachel. Have we met before, Rachel?
Yes, I've been here once before.
I see. And when was that?
Maybe about a year and a half ago. We met once in Chicago as well.
I see. And what brings you here today, Rachel?
I guess actually I'm really frustrated.
Okay.
So I'm.
About what?
So I have a lot of the bells and whistles and the energy, but I see that that's not it. Like it's simple. You know, what I'm searching for is very simple. It was experienced very short time.
Uh-huh.
No bells and whistles. It was just very like a switch flipped.
Right. Yeah.
And I get frustrated because I can't, it flips back.
Yes, it does.
And I get so distracted by all of this. And it's starting to irritate me. I want it to go away, you know, like.
It being?
The energy and the more physical, I mean, it feels good, but I feel like it's blocking, or it's like a trap.
Right.
And I just, every time and then I just give it up, like forget it. And I just go on my way, and I don't think about spiritual things, and then something will happen that, oh, I'm gonna try again. And then all the stuff comes back. And it just is really frustrating.
Yes. This is a beautifully articulated example of the plight of the seeker. That you have had this profound experience of seeing the unity of things. No bells and whistles. Well, yeah, I mean, but you saw it. And that experience then became essentially the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
And it is that which is pursued as the Holy Grail, the answer, the thing.
Yeah.
That if I could, because you know it's there,
Yes.
and if you can get it back, and get it back all the time, then everything's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And you have taken your position in a extremely long line of seekers who have pursued this. So if there's any consolation in the fact that you are not alone in that desire, then so be it. The thrust of this teaching is a bit different from many that you will encounter or have encountered, in as much as many, if not most, teachings are concerned with facilitating your quest for the attainment of that goal. But this one isn't. It acknowledges the goal, it recognizes the goal, but the pointers of this teaching suggest that that experience is simply that, an experience. And like every experience, no matter, I mean, you know for a fact that that experience was the best. In terms, not necessarily with bells and whistles,
Right.
but the best in terms of the fullest, most complete, most total, most awesome experience that you ever had. And so that's not deniable. I mean, that's your experience. You know that. The thing is that it is an experience, a phenomenal experience, even though the nature of that kind of phenomenal experience is that it seems more spacious, more open, more unified than any other experience. And so it doesn't have the trappings of most experiences, and which makes it 1,000 times more seductive. But it is an experience, you experienced it.
Yeah.
And so the quality that is, when you have to understand about every experience, is that it contains the seed of its opposite. It is the very nature of duality. It is the very nature of our human experience that every experience contains the seed of its opposite. And there will always be this flipping and flopping in experience. But so pursuing it and measuring your life against it, while almost inevitable, is a loser's game. You're not going to be able to attain that all the time. It's just not doable, any more than you can stand in your boots and lift yourself off the ground by pulling on your bootstraps. No matter how hard and diligent you are, it's not going to happen, just by the very nature of things. So, acknowledging that, at least intellectually, can be potentially a very potent start, because it may allow for you to look at things a little differently, such that you may begin to be able to see the seed of that fullness in your day-to-day experience, even in the difficulties, even in that shit you just want to have go away, because it's not pleasant and it's not nice and it hurts. But this teaching is concerned with pointing you to a truth which embodies and includes even those experiences, such that the peace that you have tasted is in fact to be had in a permanent way through the inclusion of everything.
It didn't feel like an experience in that Rachel disappeared. And it was shocking in its simplicity. It was like, oh my gosh, that's so simple, and then gone. So it wasn't like a huge experience. I feel like I could live there, but it wouldn't be me. But I
Who could? Yeah, I mean,
Right.
the question is, who could live there?
right.
I mean, that's so. For someone to live there, there has to be a someone,
Right. Okay. Right.
and we come back to our human experience of someone.
And that's what's being held onto.
That's what's being rejected. You're saying, I shouldn't hold on to this human experience, that my human experience is what is blocking me from that expansive experience. I must get rid of my human experience so I can be totality, so I can be consciousness, so I can be everything.
And you're saying by accepting everything, that's how you experience it.
Well, what I'm saying is that in the seeing, there is an acceptance which includes everything, including you, including Rachel. So Rachel is seen as an expression of this perfect unity. Not an aberration, not something to be rejected and overcome and discarded, but something that exists. And how does something exist? It can only exist if it's made manifest through universal forces. So the fact that Rachel does exist is indicative of something. So that's kind of structurally what we're about here.
Okay.
And it's a different approach, really, perhaps than what you're
Yes.
normally accustomed to thinking about and looking towards.
Yes.
And it may be useful. We'll see. So Gennaro says, I'm frustrated too. I'm 25, and I'm no different than when I was 18. I have no motivation, no degree of any kind, no job, very little self-confidence, and everything seems so wrong. I can't find my place in society. I'm very confused and scared. And since you mentioned the seed of the opposite, it's been more than a year that I feel this way. There's been no flipping to the opposite. I mean the opposite of my actual situation. Well, I'm certainly sorry that that life is difficult for you at the moment, and that it has been so for a year. And when we talk about the seed of the opposite, we're not saying that the flipping is necessarily going to happen within any given time period. What the pointer is that the seed of the opposite is there. When and how it will manifest, I have no way of predicting, and neither do you, of course. So as a human being, we tend, when things are difficult, to imagine that they're going to continue to be difficult. Because there is no end in sight. There is no way out visible. Obviously, because if there was, you'd take it. So there is no viable way out for you at the moment. And that can be frightening and difficult. And I'm very sorry you're having that experience. But it does have the seed of its opposite within it. And change is inevitable.